Welcome to our deep dive into deserts.
Deserts.
Yeah. We've got three sources
Okay.
for this one. Two YouTube channels
Okay.
that are kind of geared towards teaching kids about this environment.
Right.
And then a blog post that has some pretty unique desert facts.
Cool.
So you ready to uncover some surprising truths about these seemingly barren landscapes?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, we often picture deserts as just these like vast sandy expanses, but
Right.
the reality is far more diverse. And actually,
Yeah, our sources bust that misconception right off the bat.
Yeah.
So help me out here. If it's not all about the sand, what actually defines a desert?
it all comes down to precipitation. A desert is any region receiving less than 10 inches of rain annually.
Okay.
So that low precipitation, that dryness, is the defining characteristic.
So wait, does that mean like a place covered in snow could technically be a desert?
Absolutely. Take Antarctica, for instance. It's
Mm.
the world's largest cold desert. Even though it's covered in snow and ice, it receives very little precipitation throughout the year.
The extreme cold prevents that snow from melting,
Right.
leading to very dry conditions.
Okay, that's blowing my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm already rethinking everything I thought I knew about deserts.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Deserts are way more varied
Yeah.
than many people realize. Our sources actually break them down into four main types.
Okay.
Hot and dry, semi-arid, coastal, and cold.
All right. So let's break those down a bit. I'm picturing like Sahara Desert.
Yeah.
And you say hot and dry, like those iconic sand dunes.
You got it. Sahara is a classic example of a hot and dry desert.
Okay.
But then you have semi-arid deserts,
Right.
like the Sahel region in Africa,
Yeah.
which receive a bit more rainfall than a true desert,
Okay.
but still experience, a significant moisture deficit.
Okay. So like not quite a desert, but
Yeah.
on its way there.
Yeah.
Okay, and what about those coastal deserts? I remember
Mm,
the sources mentioned the Atacama Desert in Chile
right.
being one of the driest places on Earth. The Atacama is a fascinating example of a coastal desert.
Yeah.
Its extreme aridity is actually due to the cold ocean currents running alongside it.
Yeah.
Those cold currents chill the air above, and cold air can't hold as much moisture, leading to incredibly low precipitation levels.
So it's like the ocean is actually contributing to the dryness of the land.
Exactly. It's a great example of how interconnected our planet systems really are.
Yeah.
And finally, we have the cold deserts like the Gobi Desert in Asia, and of course, the polar deserts of Antarctica and the Arctic.
Speaking of the Gobi Desert, I remember the sources mentioned it's actually expanding quite rapidly.
Right. The Gobi's expansion is a prime example of desertification,
Right.
which is essentially the process of fertile land transforming into desert. Factors like deforestation, overgrazing, play a significant role in this process.
It makes you wonder how the plants and animals that already live in these extreme environments
Right.
manage to survive, let alone thrive.
Well, that's where the adaptations come in. And deserts are a prime example of the incredible power of evolution at work. Take the camel, for instance.
Oh, yeah. I remember reading about how a camel's hump doesn't actually store water,
Right.
which seemed counterintuitive.
It's a common misconception. The hump actually stores fat, which serves as a long-lasting energy reserve, allowing camels to endure those long stretches without food.
So it's not about hydration, but about having enough fuel to travel long distances in search of resources.
Precisely. And that's just one example. Camels have a whole suite of adaptations for desert survival, from their specialized nostrils and thick eyelashes to keep out sand to their wide, flat feet that act like snowshoes on the shifting sands.
Speaking of adaptations, what about those nocturnal desert animals? I'm particularly fascinated by the fennec fox with those giant ears.
The fennec fox is a master of desert survival. Those oversized ears aren't just for show, they're incredibly sensitive, allowing them to detect the faintest sounds of prey moving beneath the sand.
So even in the darkness, they have a way to pinpoint their next meal. That's incredible.
And to cope with those scorching daytime temperatures, they've got another trick up their sleeve: thick fur on the soles of their feet, which acts like insulation against the hot sand.
Wow, it seems like every creature in the desert has evolved these unique ways of making the best of a challenging environment.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of some of those other creatures our sources mentioned, like that beetle that literally drinks fog.
The Namibian desert beetle is a prime example of resourcefulness.
Yeah.
It collects drinking water from fog by tilting its body into the wind, allowing tiny droplets to condense on its back and trickle down to its mouth.
Wow.
Talk about making the most of limited resources.
And what about that lizard with the crazy-looking skin? that collects water.
The thorny devil lizard is another marvel of adaptation.
Yeah.
It has this network of tiny grooves on its skin that act like channels, directing dew and raindrops towards its mouth.
It's just incredible how life finds a way to persist in such a seemingly unforgiving environment.
It challenges our notion of what it means to thrive, doesn't it? And speaking of thriving, let's shift gears and talk about the plant life in deserts.
Okay.
They've got some pretty impressive adaptations of their own.
When I think of desert plants, I immediately think of like cacti,
Yeah.
but I'm guessing there's a whole lot more to the story
Oh, yeah.
than just prickly pears and saguaros.
You're absolutely right. Desert plants are incredibly diverse and have evolved some remarkable strategies to survive in those arid conditions. One fascinating concept our sources touched on is something called desert pavement.
Desert pavement.
Yeah,
That sounds almost like a man-made
right.
structure.
It does sound like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's actually a natural phenomenon. Desert pavement is that tightly packed layer of rocks and pebbles you often see on the desert floor. It's formed over time as wind blows away the finer sand and soil particles, leaving behind the heavier rocks.
So it's like the wind is playing the role of a sculptor,
Exactly.
slowly revealing this hidden layer of rocks.
Exactly. And that desert pavement actually plays a crucial role in the survival of many desert plants.
Oh, I'm curious how that works.
Well, because desert pavement is so tightly packed, it limits water infiltration.
Right.
So when it does rain, the water tends to run off quickly rather than soaking into the ground.
Okay.
This creates a harsh environment for plants, but those that have adapted to these conditions can actually benefit from it.
And that's where the cacti come in.
Exactly. Cacti, with their shallow root systems, are perfectly adapted to capture that limited surface water.
Right.
And their thick, waxy skin helps them retain moisture, minimizing water loss through transpiration.
Speaking of cacti, the cholla cactus really stood out to me
Yeah.
with its detachable spines.
Oh, yeah.
It's like something out of a science fiction movie.
It is. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant defense mechanism. Those spines detach easily when brushed against, embedding themselves in the skin of any unlucky animal that gets too close.
But what makes them even more fascinating is that those detached spines can actually sprout into new plants.
It's like a cloning superpower.
All right.
By detaching easily, the spines can be carried by animals or the wind to new locations where they can take root and form new cacti.
Yeah.
This ensures the cholla cactus can spread and thrive even in the harshest environments.
It's amazing how everything in the desert seems to be connected.
Yeah.
Like the wind shapes the landscape, creating desert pavement,
Right.
which in turn influences the types of plants that can survive there.
It's a beautiful example of the interconnectedness of nature. And that interconnectedness extends to the animal kingdom as well. Remember those YouTube channels we mentioned?
Yes.
They had some fascinating segments about the unique challenges and adaptations of desert animals.
Right. I remember them talking about how desert soil can actually become hydrophobic when it's extremely dry,
Right.
which almost seems counterintuitive. Like dry soil repelling water.
It is counterintuitive, but it makes sense when you understand the science behind it. When soil becomes extremely dry, the tiny spaces between the soil particles become coated with waxy substances,
Okay.
preventing water from being absorbed.
They even did the demonstration
Yeah.
where they poured water onto dry desert soil and it just beat it up on the surface.
Exactly. It's a visual reminder of just how different desert environments can be from what we're used to.
And this hydrophobic soil can have some pretty significant consequences, especially when you consider flash floods.
That's a crucial point. Because the water doesn't readily penetrate the dry soil, it runs off quickly, accumulating in valleys and canyons, creating those sudden and dangerous flash floods that deserts are known for.
One of the YouTube channels, Science Mom, I think, even mentioned how their city
Yeah.
near Las Vegas
Right.
has to be designed with special walls and drainage ditches
Wow.
to mitigate the risks of flash flooding.
It's a reminder that human settlements in desert environments have to adapt to these unique challenges. We can't ignore the forces of nature, but we can learn to live in harmony with them.
And speaking of adapting to challenges, I was particularly intrigued by the segment on those tiny creatures called triops, or tadpole shrimp, that live in those temporary desert lakes.
Ah, yes, the triops.
Yeah.
Their life cycle is a testament to resilience and adaptability. They lay eggs that can survive for years in a dormant state, even when the lake bed is completely dry.
Wow.
Then, when it rains and the lake fills with water, the eggs hatch and the triops rapidly mature, reproduce, and lay more eggs before the water dries up again.
So they basically live their whole lives in fast forward,
Right.
perfectly synchronized with those unpredictable bursts of rainfall.
It's a remarkable strategy for surviving in such an ephemeral environment.
It seems like every creature in the desert has a story to tell,
Right.
a unique adaptation that allows them to thrive against the odds.
And those adaptations extend beyond physical traits. Many desert animals, especially rodents, are nocturnal, avoiding the scorching daytime temperatures by only venturing out at night.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Shifting their schedules to make the most of the cooler hours.
exactly. And some, like the kangaroo rat, have even evolved to extract moisture from the seeds they eat, further reducing their reliance on external water sources.
So they found ways to access water even when it's not readily available.
Yeah.
That's incredible how resourceful nature can be. What about camouflage? I remember the sources mentioned being a crucial adaptation for desert animals.
Camouflage is essential for survival in the desert, both for predators and prey. For prey animals, blending in with their surroundings can mean the difference between life and death.
Right, because they're essentially walking bags of water
Right.
in a very dry environment,
Exactly.
making them prime targets for predators.
Exactly. And it's not just about avoiding predators.
Right.
For some animals, like the fennec fox we discussed earlier, camouflage can also help them ambush their prey.
I remember that Find the Lizard game
Oh, yeah.
from one of the YouTube videos.
Yeah.
It was like they were practically invisible against the rocks and sand.
It highlighted how these animals have evolved to become masters of disguise, blending seamlessly into their environment. And those adaptations go beyond just coloration.
Right, like the sources mentioned how some desert animals, like certain lizards, have light-colored skin that helps reflect sunlight, keeping them cooler.
It's a passive cooling mechanism that can make a significant difference in those scorching temperatures. And then you have animals like camels, which have evolved a more active cooling strategy. They can actually adjust their body temperature throughout the day, tolerating a wider range of temperatures than most mammals.
So they're not just enduring the heat, they're actively managing it.
Right?
That's fascinating.
It allows them to conserve water by not sweating as much. Camels are truly masters of desert survival. They've had millions of years to perfect their adaptations.
It's interesting to think about the fact that deserts are found on all 7 continents. One of the videos pointed that out.
Right.
It really drives home the point that deserts are a global phenomenon.
That's right. Deserts aren't limited to specific regions or climates. They're defined by dryness, and that dryness can occur in a variety of landscapes, from the scorching sands of the Sahara to the frozen expanse of Antarctica.
And speaking of the Sahara, it's interesting to note that only about 20% of it is actually covered in sand.
That's a common misconception.
Yeah.
Much of the Sahara, and indeed many other deserts, consists of rocky plains, gravel, and even mountains. The diversity of desert landscapes is often overlooked.
It's like we have this stereotypical image in our minds
Right.
of what a desert looks like.
Exactly.
But the reality is far more nuanced and varied.
Exactly. And that nuance extends to the life that inhabits these landscapes. Despite the harsh conditions, deserts are teeming with biodiversity. From tiny insects to large mammals, life has found a way to thrive in these seemingly inhospitable environments.
Yeah, it really makes you appreciate the resilience of nature, doesn't it? That even in these extreme environments, life finds a way to not just survive, but to flourish.
It's a powerful reminder that life is tenacious and adaptable. But as our sources pointed out, these desert ecosystems, as resilient as they are facing growing threats from human activities and climate change.
You're talking about desertification, right? The process of fertile land turning into desert.
Exactly. It's driven by a number of factors, including unsustainable agricultural practices, deforestation, and overgrazing.
Right.
As we learned earlier, these practices can deplete the soil of nutrients, leading to erosion and ultimately transforming once fertile land into barren desert.
And climate change is exacerbating the issue, isn't it? With rising temperatures and shifting rainfall patterns, putting even more stress on these already arid environments.
Absolutely. One of the YouTube videos used a really striking analogy,
So,
comparing desertification to a wound on the Earth's surface.
right.
It's a powerful image that highlights the severity of the problem.
It makes you realize that this isn't just some abstract environmental issue happening somewhere far away. It's a global problem with real consequences for people and ecosystems all over the world.
And it's a problem that requires a global response. We need to address the root causes of desertification, like unsustainable land management practices, and we need to take action to mitigate the impacts of climate change.
It can feel overwhelming to think about how to tackle such large-scale problems.
Right.
But our sources did highlight some hopeful developments, like the potential of deserts for renewable energy production, particularly solar power.
That's right. Deserts, with their abundant sunshine and wide open spaces, are ideal locations for large-scale solar farms. Harnessing this renewable energy source could help reduce our reliance on fossil fuels and play a significant role in our transition to a more sustainable energy future.
It's like turning a challenge into an opportunity,
Exactly.
but we have to make sure it's done responsibly, right?
Well, absolutely.
We don't want to solve one environmental problem by creating another.
You're absolutely right. It's crucial that these renewable energy projects are developed in a way that minimizes their impact on desert ecosystems. We need to find that balance between harnessing the power of the sun while protecting the unique biodiversity of these environments.
It seems like finding that balance is a recurring theme when it comes to deserts.
Yeah,
Earlier, we talked about how animals have to balance their need to find food and water with the need to avoid that scorching heat.
right.
Now we're talking about balancing our need for clean energy with the need to protect delicate ecosystems.
It highlights the interconnectedness of everything. We can't address one issue in isolation. We have to consider the broader context and strive for solutions that benefit both people and the planet.
One thing that really resonated with me throughout this whole deep dive was the emphasis on the cultural and historical significance of deserts. It's easy to think of them as just these empty landscapes, but there's so much more than that.
Absolutely. Deserts have been home to human civilizations for millennia, shaping cultures, traditions, and ways of life. They're not just empty spaces. They're places with rich histories and deep connections to humanity.
The sources mentioned those ancient artifacts found in places like the Eureka Dunes in the Sahara Desert, evidence of human presence dating back thousands of years.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder about the stories those artifacts could tell, the glimpses they offer into the lives of the people who came before us.
Those remnants of the past remind us that deserts have played a vital role in human history, and they continue to be important to many communities today.
Right.
Think about the indigenous cultures around the world that still call deserts home. Their knowledge and understanding of these ecosystems are invaluable.
It's a reminder that protecting deserts isn't just about preserving biodiversity. It's also about respecting and valuing the cultural heritage that's intertwined with these landscapes.
Exactly. It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of human societies and the natural world, understanding that our actions have consequences for both.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of deserts, I'm left with this sense of awe and a renewed appreciation for these often misunderstood landscapes.
Me too. They're places of incredible beauty, resilience, and cultural significance. And while they face challenges, there's also hope. By understanding these challenges and working together to find solutions, we can ensure that these unique ecosystems continue to thrive for generations to come.
We learned so much about the different types of deserts, the remarkable adaptations of plants and animals, the impact of human activities, and the importance of conservation efforts.
And hopefully this deep dive has sparked a sense of curiosity and a desire to learn even more about these fascinating environments.
Deserts are far more than just barren wastelands. They're dynamic, complex, and surprisingly diverse ecosystems that play a crucial role in the balance of our planet.
And their future, like the future of all life on Earth, depends on our choices and our actions.